Like, he would hide food in his room, things like that.
We
And
were
then,
always finding wrappers.
yeah, and then we even went as far as locking things up, like our fridge and our pantry to stop him from overeating or like sneaking food.
Hmm.
And because right before we did that, he was eating just like even dry pasta, like just anything he could like binge on and things like that. So
Mhm.
And how many years were you struggling with this cycle, trying to help him?
Oh gosh, a lot of years.
yeah, I think
Probably like,
really started it, yeah, when he was
5.
around maybe 9.
Yeah, you literally changed our lives,
Yeah.
like 100%, 360.
Yeah.
So let's just start with both of you introducing your names and your son's age.
I'm Carla Fox.
I'm Taylor, and our son is 12 years old.
Okay, and so both of you just finished the 16-week program, and I invited you to share your experience with other parents considering it to help their child lose weight. And to be transparent, I didn't give you any context or any questions before this video, right? So I want to keep this as authentic as possible. And if you feel comfortable, the first question I'm going to ask is, what was a typical day in your life before you started this program in terms of health? Maybe Carla, you can start first.
Yeah. We went out to eat like fast food for dinner a lot. We didn't really like, we weren't active or had a lot of movement. It was more like just kind of like watching TV or video games or things like that. Just not the best of activity level. So
Okay.
I
And we'll
concur.
have time to go deep into this. I'm just getting a quick idea of what your family life was like. And how about your son? How would you describe his health and his life?
Definitely struggled with a screen addiction, overeating, didn't have a lot of knowledge on how to deal with that, especially since he was diagnosed with ADHD. Yeah, a lot of screen time though.
Okay. So you
Screen
think this,
addiction.
I want to ask you a bit more about the overeating. What were the things that were concerning to you as a parent?
Um, I would say he was eating things like without telling us. He would sneak a lot of food out of the
Mhm.
fridge and pantry. Like, he would hide food in his room, things like that.
We
And
were
then,
always finding wrappers.
yeah, and then we even went as far as locking things up, like our fridge and our pantry to stop him from overeating or like sneaking food.
Mhm.
And because right before we did that, he was eating just like even dry pasta, like just anything he could like binge on and things like that. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of parents are probably dealing with the same kind of issues with their children not being able to control themselves, and they're worried what to do about it. So later on in this interview, I'll ask you a bit about what the strategies were. So I just want to quickly get an overview before we get started. And I also want to ask you if you could describe your experience of the program in one sentence, what would you say?
This has been life-changing. That's how I would describe it.
Life-changing. You too,
Yep.
Carla?
Me too. Yep.
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
So before we dive in deeper, I want to give the viewer a bit more context for this video that they're watching.
Mhm.
The goal of this video is to show parents a real, honest experience of how the program helped your family. And I want you to share the good and the bad. And we'll let the parents decide for themselves if this is the right fit for them. So I don't want you to hide anything. Be as vulnerable and authentic as you feel comfortable. And if you say anything sensitive that you want removed, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll keep everything in. Sounds good?
Yep.
All right, let's dive deeper. So I want to ask you, why was it important for you to help your son lose weight?
I would say because he was just had really low self-esteem. You could tell that he was really struggling with himself, and his body image and his health overall. He would be out of breath just going up the stairs or things like that, that a 12-year-old child shouldn't struggle with. So we really were concerned and really wanted to help him.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So you too, Taylor? Is that how you felt?
Yeah, I felt the same way. He also struggled a lot with not wanting to eat anything really healthy. It was a lot of processed foods, fast foods. So that has been a struggle
Hmm.
trying to get him to eat a more balanced diet.
I see.
Well,
Yeah.
And can you tell me a bit more about what you tried before to try to help him with these issues?
Well, like I
Um,
mentioned earlier, we went as far as locking up our like pantry and fridge to avoid him binge eating. We would almost like kind of force him to eat vegetables, like you're not gonna play video games or whatever if you don't eat your vegetables type of thing, like kind of controlling that way. And just also like kind of making like giving him rewards for doing activity things or things like that. Like, but it would be like more game time or things that weren't like really helping, you know.
mhm.
So
I see.
yeah.
And what about the food in general in terms of trying to help him eat healthier other than the vegetables? Have you guys tried putting him on a diet or anything like that before?
Yeah, I guess we would call it diets or like we were gonna eat, not like a specific diet, but just like we would say like we need to go on a diet or things like that. Like
Just eating healthier foods overall.
Yeah.
It's not just vegetables, but like it was very plain Jane, like
yeah.
nothing outside of meat, vegetable,
Right.
and rice. I don't
I see.
know. It was very,
Yeah.
not helpful in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think we went about it the wrong way, and I think it's a lot because we didn't have a lot of knowledge of everything that goes into being, what am I trying to say? Like everything that goes into having a different mindset of wanting to be healthier and
Mhm.
Yeah.
so I don't know.
It would be
So-
like if we eat healthy today, we can eat like out fast food on the weekend type of thing, you know. It wasn't really like
Mhm.
We just didn't have any motivation, and
Yeah.
that didn't help him have any motivation. And then our sleep wasn't good, our screen time wasn't good, we weren't active. So there was a lot of things that were playing a role in.
Mhm. So I think what you're
Mhm.
describing is probably something a lot of people struggle with, and I did myself. It's like you restrict yourself for a while, you probably lose some weight, and then your mind hasn't really changed. So what you do is you go back to the previous habits and you
Yes.
gain all the weight back.
Mhm.
Was that your experience
Yes.
before this program?
Yeah.
Go right back into what we were doing, maybe gain even more weight. Like
Yeah.
it was a cycle.
Mhm.
And how many years were you struggling with this cycle trying to help him?
Oh gosh, a lot of years.
Yeah. I think
Probably like,
really started it, yeah, when he was around maybe 9 or
so
when
like
we started
3 or 4
seeing
years.
his health being affected by like his weight and things like that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So yeah, like 4 years, 5 years.
Mhm.
So a long time.
Yeah.
And why do you think, if you were to guess, like why didn't any of that work throughout the 5 years?
I don't think we were going about it like in a way that would help him
Mhm.
be successful for the long term. Just the way his brain works and the different things we were trying to implement was not realistic,
Yeah.
I guess.
Not
I
realistic.
see.
We didn't realize that we would just lead back to the same habits again, and that's what kept happening. Like we would do good for like a couple weeks or whatever, and then go back to our old habits and move back to square one.
Yeah.
I see.
Mhm.
So maybe this is an interesting question, but I want to ask you if you remember, how did you find out about this program?
I was literally just scrolling online and came across your website, and
Mhm.
I was like, oh, this looks too good to be true because it was saying everything, all the right stuff. And I just decided to, I was just like researching different ways that we can help Bentley
Yeah.
with his health. And then I decided to reach out to you for a consultation.
So you were looking online for a solution and you found this and you just
Yeah.
went,
Yeah.
We were actually talking about like finding some sort of not counseling, but like classes or something for him, like physical activity classes
Mhm.
type thing that would help him. And somehow stumbled upon your website and
Oh, so
yeah,
you
we
were
read about it and
interesting.
we were like, this is exactly like sounds like what we need, so
It was like verbatim what we were looking for. It
Yeah.
was crazy.
Well, that's interesting. That's not what I picked up on. It sounded like you were looking for a solution for him in terms of counseling and training and all that.
Yes,
Yeah, that's what we
that's
were.
what the website, it didn't, I don't know, like I know it's like a parent-based approach to help the
Mhm.
child, but I don't know.
But
It just-
what it said like that we could achieve or like would
Yeah.
help with, that's exactly what we were looking for.
Yeah.
You know, we never thought to look like as a parent, like
Mhm.
I didn't even think that when I was reading your website. though.
Yeah,
Like it just
exactly.
seemed so helpful for our child.
I
And
see.
yeah.
So this is very interesting for me to know. I mean, after the fact, after having gone through the program. So it sounds like you read the website and you thought that this would help him, and you're like, yeah, let's go into the consultation.
Yep.
And was it during the consultation that you learned that the focus would be more on you?
Yeah.
So how
I
did you
thought it
feel
was
when
really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I thought we were gonna be involved in a way, but not like that it was gonna be focused on the parents like leading by
Yeah.
example. So like, yeah, pretty much that's what we learned in the consultation.
So was it like surprising to you that I wouldn't be talking to your son during the program?
Yes,
100%.
100%. Because any other one, it would be just a child, you know. So like
this
I
is what
think
you're gonna do with the child.
yeah.
Yeah.
So when I first like heard that, I was like kind of like thrown off a little, you know, not
Oh, I
because
see.
I'm like offended, but just because I was like, how's that gonna help him?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Mhm. So that's probably a lot of parents who meet me during consultations. They feel exactly like that. They feel like, why are you talking about me? This is about my child,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, after the consultation or when you guys had the talk with me and decided to join the program, what were kind of the doubts and the worries that you had before joining it?
That we weren't gonna change. Like it
Yeah.
was us, like we have to make the changes in order for our child to make those healthy changes. And I didn't know if we would stick to
I didn't feel like
the things.
we were that unhealthy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like obviously the
Okay.
fast food and stuff, but I didn't think that
I'm sorry.
we needed to change so much for him to like change. Like our mentality was just totally, you know, different than what it is now. But
I see.
I just didn't know how that would help him, I guess, by us changing at first.
So it sounds like you were kind of okay with where you were in terms of your health. You knew some things were wrong, but you didn't really understand how all of that could contribute to him having more issues with health.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I see. So that's very fascinating to me because a lot of parents probably feel like they're doing a lot of things right, and they don't exactly know which one of the things might be contributing and making the things worse, and the child just amplifies these holes, I think. So now that you've completed the program, what is the most impactful changes that you notice in yourself? Whoever wants to go first.
I am more active.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me start over.
I'm not gonna cut that off, by the way. That's going in.
Really?
Up to you.
Okay.
Yeah, go on.
I am more active. We are more conscious of how important all the factors are: sleep, screen time, balance with our diets. Like we just have a lot of knowledge and we learned so much from you that and we implemented everything that you taught us.
Yeah.
Our lives are completely different. Yeah, you literally changed our lives, like 100% 360.
Yeah.
And it has improved. Bentley has improved as well.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just like there's just so many things that
Yeah.
have changed.
That's okay. I want to narrow down a bit into what exactly changed in terms of your health, physical, mental.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, I think the most impactful thing is just the way we view like health now and like how important it is for us. Like it's a priority in our lives now, whereas before it was just like, oh, like, you know, maybe we'll do this or whatever, you know. Now it's like we make those conscious decisions like every day without even like thinking. Like we just are like, no, this is gonna make our body feel good, you know, that's like our main focus. And I think that has been super impactful in our lives just because it's just changed the way we go about things or the choices we make because of how it's just going to make us feel, which is like a very simple concept, but very, very impactful.
Yeah, so this is a very interesting thing. So it sounds like you made the connection between how things actually make you feel and you pursue that instead of having like a goal of losing weight or things like that.
Yeah,
What do you think made that click for you? Because it sounds so simple, but
right.
what why do you think that made you click and make health the number one priority?
I think because what made it click for me is that before it was we were focused on like the losing weight aspect of it or things like that, whereas now it's like what makes us feel good, and then that's just way easier to like listen to or like look at, I guess, rather than like,
Mhm.
oh, we've lost weight and that takes like could take months or years or whatever, like I feel like this is more of like a mentality shift, like of like every day that's what we're focusing on rather
Mhm.
than a scale, I don't know. That's what I think.
I
Yeah,
feel the exact same way. Yeah.
that's awesome to hear. Because my main motive, and I tell this to parents all the time, is to change your mind, to heal your mind, to heal the body.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to see that it happened for you.
Mhm.
But I'm sure a lot of people will have questions of did they actually lose weight? Like what happened? Did the son lose weight? What would you
We
say
all
to them?
lost weight.
Yeah, we actually tracked our weight starting from January when we started the program,
Hmm.
and now until the end of the program. And Bentley lost 12 pounds
Hmm.
since then. Taylor lost like around the same, 10, 11 or 12 pounds. And then I lost 6. So yeah,
Hmm.
we've all been losing weight consistently every month. Even if it's a couple of pounds, like it's still, um,
Hmm.
progress.
Hmm. We
So it
also
sounds
go to
like
the gym 3 times a week now, and we
Yeah.
never did that before.
Right.
So, and it's been a habit that we've stuck to for months. So,
nice. So it sounds like despite not focusing on the weight, you all lost weight. How do you
yeah.
feel about the continuation of Bentley reaching his ideal health weight? Do you think you're confident about that happening in the next year?
Oh,
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
What makes you confident?
All the
That,
knowledge that we've learned
yeah, just
and
our whole shift in
yeah.
perspective. Like it's so hard to describe like how we've just shifted our complete perspective and our mentality when it comes to like health and how to approach health and things like that. It's become just like an everyday like thing in our lives. So it's something that it's become part of our life basically.
Hmm.
So I think that that's just going to continue, and so Bentley's going to continue that as well because we're continuing it. So
Yeah, everything we've implemented has stuck, and we've literally made all of these lifestyle changes, and it's been months, and we plan to continue it forever.
Hmm. Do you ever have any doubts or any challenges to think that this is a diet or a restriction period and I can't wait to go back and eat all the junk food or stop going to the gym 3 times a week?
No.
no, at first, kind of, it was more because I think I wasn't like used to eating right or like doing these things, so it was a challenge. It was hard, but once you push through that and like it becomes like part of a routine, like your daily routine, then no, I don't think of it changing because it's like it's what I want to do, it's like what I do, part of my identity. So
If I stray away, like I definitely don't feel good.
Mhm.
I always am consciously eating things that give me energy and, don't
Mm.
make me crash and things like that. So I really don't have any cravings anymore. I don't even
Yeah.
want to feel like that.
Yeah.
When I skip the gym, you can definitely tell. So
Hmm.
feels good to stay on track and make those changes.
So would you say that health is now, as a priority, is now part of your identity?
Yes,
Yes.
100%. Yeah.
Mm. That's good to hear. That's essentially the goal of the program,
Yeah.
to make health your number one priority so that it sticks for the rest of your life, so that it doesn't feel like you're sacrificing ever,
Yeah.
right? So I want to ask you this. What are the changes you notice in each other, either emotionally or whatever comes to mind when I ask that question?
More energy. I was always tired,
Mhm.
fatigue. Like I'm
Mm.
definitely
Well, you yourself, yes, but what about in Carla? That's the question now. What do you
oh,
notice?
okay, let me start over.
Yeah.
Carla has more energy and she's not tired anymore. Just kidding. No, I think we all have, and especially in Carla's, the more, I don't know. Sorry. I'm drawing a blank. Can you cut that out and you go
Yeah.
first? Okay, thanks.
For sure. I have noticed that you have a lot more energy, and that's like a fact. She was so tired all the time before, like literally from the time she woke up to like bedtime. So that's been a huge improvement. I would say like just I guess the energy level, but then also mood, like just a better mood overall, positive attitude and things like that.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I'd say the same for you. Definitely having a better mood, and she's definitely pushing more like hobbies and stuff, which I really enjoy, that we're being active together and finding more things to do. Yeah.
Okay. So I do want to dig a little bit deeper there because I know you personally very well, but people watching this don't probably know.
Yeah.
Right. I want, if you feel comfortable, I want to ask about your anxiety, Taylor. Right. And I want to hear it from the perspective of Carla.
Yeah.
What do you think has changed for that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I definitely agree that, well, not agree, but I definitely do feel like her anxiety has improved, just in a way that she's more able to manage it, before it was very like affecting her life in like negative ways and stuff like throughout the day. Um, Definitely after the program, I feel like she's become more vulnerable and is able to open up more about things causing her anxiety and things like that, to be able to like talk about it and maybe not like process it with me, but with herself. So like it's been helping her. I've definitely noticed that.
Okay. And do you want to expand on that?
Me?
No, Taylor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Expand on what she
Your
just said.
anxiety.
Yeah, what she just said.
Oh, all of the above.
So
I go ahead.
how do you think that changed Bentley's relationship with you and with food and health? You helping your own anxiety.
Just learning what helps and specific strategies to cope with it, and then I can pass that knowledge down to Bentley and implement some meditation or just different things like that to help with his daily anxiety, because that's something he struggles with as well. He's very similar to me, so it's easy for me to see what works for me and then see if it works for him as well.
So have you noticed as you're improving your own emotional health in some sense that you see him also improve?
Totally. Yeah, we meditate every night, journal, and then what was I gonna say?
I can add to that. Like before, he was so against meditating and journaling, and it was like he almost would refuse. And now he like is open, and we've seen him like his answers becoming more like personal and deep rather than very like surface level things, like when we're journaling and things like that.
Yeah.
Even his mood has improved. Like he still struggles with mood and stuff like that, his hormones, but he's more like he'll acknowledge more like his feelings, or like when he's done something wrong, not wrong, but just like acted out of like, his emotions and things, he'll repair, as like we learned. And so that's been huge to see, because before he was so closed off about any emotional or any type of like meditating or journaling or things like that. So I think by us modeling that and Taylor too, because her and him are very similar, and she's expressed that to him and he knows, her being able to do those things and improve, I feel like he has got better at that by just us doing it.
That's really awesome to hear.
Yeah.
So if I ask you, what is the most impactful thing you learned in the last 16 weeks? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
I have to narrow it down.
The first thing that came to my mind was information, but like that's just covers everything. So like
I think the balancing like our diet has been the most impactful, just because I used to crash out in the middle of the afternoon. I wasn't super like I didn't have a lot of information about different foods and why they make you feel a certain way. So now I literally plan our meal, every single meal, with protein, vegetable, everything that will help us power through the day, and no refined sugar, things like that. I think that has been the best, the most impactful, because I don't know, I just implemented it and now it's
Yeah.
stuck, and now I'm just like, no, I don't know.
So this is very interesting because a lot of people hear like you should eat more balanced and you should just like eat better.
Yeah,
But why do you think it made it stick for you learning it the way you learned it in the program?
because of the information behind every little thing, and a lot about the gut microbiome, things like that that help your brain power better, and then just feeling good all the time. I literally never feel bad because I
I see.
make those conscious choices, you know, and for my family, I'm the cook here, so
Yeah.
you
Great
know,
cook, by the way. I hope I can put some pictures of food here in the video.
For
sure. But yeah, I enjoy us all feeling good and not crashing out and
Yeah.
having no energy. Like,
Yeah, I agree. And I do think that the way that you structured the lessons and the information you give, but also like why this causes this or why this causes this or whatever,
yeah,
it's very like informative. So it's like easy to understand and therefore easy to follow and just like to remember, I guess.
I see.
And just to like connect it to like our everyday like things.
it's step by step, literally.
Mhm.
So the implementing is made, given to, here you go, here's the,
Right.
here it is. Now see what works best for you, you know.
That's
I
really
think
good to
it's so
hear.
cool.
It's really good, especially as feedback for me to make the program better, to know how important these lessons were for you. What I often hear is that information is cheap, right? How do you actually all the information you need is online. Why do you think that you were able to implement like what you learned in this program effectively?
I wouldn't know how to find or even where to start if it wasn't like given to us in these lessons that you gave. Like, okay, how do I be more healthy? Like,
Right.
Mm,
Like we
right.
we said like before we would Google stuff and it's just like there's so much and it doesn't really like go into so much depth or like give real life examples or like
different options
break
of
it
how to,
down into
yeah.
a way like I said that is easy to understand or follow, it's just like it would be like years and years of research to, I
Mhm.
feel like to get that from like that we got from your lessons. So like
I see.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Another thing I often hear is like I think a lot of parents worry how intensive this program is because I tell them we'll be in a group chat, you'll be sending me everything you eat, we'll
Yeah.
be meeting every week, there's going to be lessons, assignments. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the structure of the program and how it could how it actually helped you and your son?
I thought it was fun, and it holds you accountable
Yeah.
to actually try and
Mhm.
implement the things that you're learning. I loved the weekly meetings to discuss
Yeah.
the lessons in depth and then go through different, like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Different like goals,
Yeah.
and how to have the information from the lesson, like how to implement that in your next week.
Yeah, it's very like tailored to like our personal like family. So that was really helpful, I think, is
Mhm.
having that like you available at any point and if we have questions or concerns or things like that and you helped us, like you guided us through. So that was super helpful. Like I wouldn't be able to do it without the accountability or that you had for us and stuff. So like personally for our family, like it was a huge help and it was just like held us accountable and then had someone to meet every week to go over, like she said, our goals and stick with them and like, are you doing what you said you were gonna do type thing where, like you don't really get that anywhere else.
Hmm. And how do you feel about the sometimes I get parents I'm essentially giving away my courses for free to people now in the consultations. So all the lessons I'm offering to people for free, and sometimes some parents say, why would I need the program if all the information is there? Do you think you would have been able to accomplish what you did if you didn't have the program component of it and you just had the courses, the lessons?
No,
Mm-mm.
probably not.
Why not? Like, serious question, why not?
That's like the whole accountability thing. Like, yeah, I can read a lesson, but then it's like I'm not making a goal and I'm not talking to someone about my goal and like keeping up on my goal and being like asked about my goal, and things like that. Um, so
It's also nice to have someone to break the lesson down with in depth and talk about all of the different, things that are put into those lessons. So
yeah.
I liked
And
that.
and what about the weekly calls? Did this give you something beyond the lessons in terms of understanding your patterns, the emotional depth of your challenges, things
Yeah.
like that? What comes to mind when I say this?
It was like little therapy sessions, honestly. Like, yeah, it
Okay.
helped me understand myself a lot better and Taylor and just like you said, like our patterns and why we were doing the things we were doing, or maybe if not the why, how to figure out the why,
Mhm.
which, like in the lessons, that's not really like you can't really find that. Whereas talking to you, like you were able to like help us with those things, on top of like explaining the lessons better and
Mhm.
keeping us on track.
I see. So I won't ask you if you would recommend this program. Obviously, you would because you're on this video. Like I respect the viewer's intellect, but if I ask you, what would you want to see improved in this program if you were to recommend this to another family? What would make you more comfortable recommending it?
I literally have no, like, I don't know. I feel like it is perfect the way it is. It worked for us, and I would have no problem recommending this to anybody. I don't really see there needing to be any improvements.
So
I
it's
was
like
gonna
the
say flying you
perfect.
out. Just kidding.
Fly me out 24/7, be there
Yeah,
with you. I can,
meet me in person. No, I'm just joking.
yeah.
No, I don't know, because honestly, it was like it really helped our family so much and was tailored so personally to us, is what it felt like, that it's so hard to like recommend or want to change anything about it. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. That maybe is the answer. Like it was so good that you don't need to change it. It worked for you.
Maybe a
Um,
couple, maybe like another meeting with Bentley, our
mhm.
child, sorry. So like maybe something like that. But
I see.
overall, I think because he wanted to talk to you more, but that's just like he just likes you. So
I see.
if
Yeah.
I could think of anything, then maybe that's one
So
thing.
more involvement with your son is something that you think would have improved his health, because at the end of the day, this is about trying to help him.
Right, right.
I
Yeah.
see. And I think that there's a lot of truth to that. And I think in the program I offer now unlimited calls with children. So if they want, I'm hoping to just they feel comfortable. I think a lot of people don't feel comfortable asking for a lot of calls as well. They
Yeah,
think I'm very busy, right? So they don't do it.
for sure.
So there's also one thing that I see a lot of people have doubts with is, okay, I'm going to spend the entire program focusing on myself, which is tied to this, right? I'm going to spend the entire program focusing on myself. How do I know it's going to change anything about my child? Why, like, what makes me think that would work? What would you say to them?
When you change and model healthy behavior, and your child will eventually mimic that as well.
Well,
And no, go ahead. Sorry.
did you believe that before when I told you this? Was it easy for you to believe?
Not really. Not
No.
at the
Okay.
beginning. Yeah.
Okay. So a
Yeah.
lot of people, it's probably normal for them to feel this way. So
Oh, totally.
what do you think could have convinced yourself at that point that this is the way?
Like in the beginning,
Hmm. Like go back and speak to Taylor 4 months ago, and she has these doubts. Like, why would I focus on myself? What would you say to her?
because you have to better yourself in order to help your child and for them to be better. Like if you're doing something a certain way and you're And it's just not going to work if you aren't on the same page, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Your child's like a reflection of you in a lot
Yeah.
of ways. So maybe that's
Mhm.
what I would have told myself. Like,
Be better so your child
yeah,
can be
like,
better.
yeah, exactly. Like you're teaching your child. So if your child has these habits, it's because they were taught that.
Mhm.
So in a certain way, like not necessarily exactly, but like whatever they were taught is like how they're behaving. And so you have to teach them. And then
Mhm.
by changing your habits, then you're teaching them new habits. So like it all makes sense, really.
Right. Yeah, I think after having done it, it's pretty obvious, but it's not really obvious to people before doing it.
Yeah.
But what I often say is, if a child, like if you tell them to do as I say, not as I do, why would they believe you if you don't see that you can do it,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
You have to
Very
first
true.
understand you have to overcome the challenge that they're probably going through to be able to know exactly how to help them solve it, because they're just like you. They're copy paste of you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is, I think, the last question I want to ask you. If you could give one message from your heart to another parent who was in your shoes before joining this program and has doubts, they're not sure if this is going to work out, but they've tried a lot of things like you. They spent maybe 5 years struggling with helping their child lose weight and also getting their health back on track. What would you say to them when that person is on the fence?
Don't give up. Definitely don't give up. And
Joe Brennan, just do
Jump,
it.
just do it, jump right in. And I
Well,
did it.
it you you don't know what you can accomplish if you don't try. So like just
Mhm.
try. You tried all those other things, they didn't help. It's worth a shot and try it because it can literally change your life if you just put the effort in.
Hmm. So whoever's watching this, if you heard Carla, she said this will literally change your life, so just jump right in. I think that's a good way to
For
wrap
lack of
it. So
better words,
yes.
yes.
awesome. So thank you for doing this and thank you for being vulnerable and authentic. This, I hope, helps whoever is watching this to make the decision to help their child, whether they choose this program or not, to at least having watched this, I think shows that they care a lot and they really want to help them. And yeah, if hopefully this also helps them better understand what the program is all about and seeing the real experience of someone having gone through it. Thank you. Thank
I
you
hope
both of you.
so. Thank you.